Well, welcome back to Session 11 for an inside look at the challenges and what's happening at the state capitol. We turn to our On Politics panel. Jay Root is settling in nicely at his new gig at the Texas Tribune, and our Josh Hinkle joins us from the panel now to field your questions today. And as we enter the final 2 weeks of the session, the Republicans have the votes. We all know that, and they continue to steamroll the Democrats. And it looks like some of the friction, though, is on the Republican side in terms of how much we should fight to get some things in the budget that the constituents say they want.
I think this is more of a House-Senate fight, actually, than a Republican-Democrat fight. And I think another defining characteristic of this session is that I think Rick Perry is sort of at the height of his influence, particularly on the rainy day fund. He said, you know, don't tap into that reserve account to pay for ongoing expenses, and I think it's changed the debate.
No, I think you're exactly right, and we've heard Jim Pitts say, you know, before, talk about that influence that the governor might have, and when you go over to Steve Ogden in the Senate, he has kind of hinted that maybe the governor's influence is a little bit more influential in the House than it is in the Senate, so it's interesting to kind of see how that's going to play out, I think, toward the end of the session.
I've seen sessions where governors have just been completely, I don't know, disrespected. I mean, where their agenda was, you know, they didn't really pay attention to the governor until it was time for the governor to sign or veto bills. But I think Perry had an influence, Governor Rick Perry had an influence at the beginning of this session on the rainy day fund in a way that I haven't seen before.
I guess it's a concept that people can really understand, that people need a savings account in case things go bad, but a lot of Democrats and some Republicans say things are bad right now.
Well, yeah, you know, one of the things you hear around the Capitol all the time is it's raining, it's pouring. And also, the rainy day fund has been tapped repeatedly in the past. In 2003, they drained it to pay for what then was a very significant budget crisis. So a lot of people are wondering, why now? Why can't we do it now that we're really in a serious, in the financial ditch? And I'm not sure I know the answer to that.
I mean, you called it a savings account, but that's not actually what it is. It's the Economic Stabilization Fund, and, you know, it is being treated right now by Republicans and Governor Perry like a savings account, even thrown out there to use it for, you know, natural disasters, things like that. But if you ask the Democrats, the purpose of it is for something like right now when the state's financial system could actually use it.
How much of this do you think presidential politics is part of this argument for not spending the rainy day fund?
Well, I'm not convinced at all that Governor Rick Perry is running for president. I know a lot of people think he is. He has said repeatedly that he's not. I do think, though, that the conservative sort of, I don't know if you want to call it grassroots, but the conservative activists like Texas Public Policy Foundation, Empower Texas, those groups have been extremely influential. Perry is very fiscal austerity from the very beginning. And I think that that's going to be a big issue as we go through. I think right now we're in sort of this is final exam time. You know, when you were in college and you had your final exams, and this is like 40% of the grade. And we're going to find out very soon what the result of that is in terms of whether or not we're going to avoid a special session.
Let me get your thoughts on how the Democrats are coping with their small numbers right now.
I think the Democrats have been completely steamrolled. I mean, particularly in the House. There are 49 Democrats in the House. They don't even have enough people to block a quorum. You remember a few years ago when they left the state, went to Albuquerque, and denied a quorum so that the House could not transact business. Well, now they have so few people that they could walk out right now en masse, every single one of them, and the Republicans could do everything they want to do because they have 101 members. They could pass a constitutional amendment without the Democrats even being there. I do think that in the Senate they've had much more of a role. They have been able to block certain things. And I think as you see going forward, for example, House Bill 12, which is this so-called sanctuary cities bill that would prevent cities from adopting any policies that say officers, rank and file officers, cannot ask about immigration status. That bill has a very uncertain future in the Senate, I would say, and so does loser pay, which is basically a lawsuit restriction measure where it would be harder to sue. I think that has an uncertain future in the Senate because of the Democrats. And they got rolled on the budget, and I think that now they're going to do whatever they can to use the rules in the Senate, which give the minority party more power. They're going to use that as much as they can going forward, I think.
I think he's exactly right, but it's only a supermajority if you use it as a supermajority, because 2 Saturdays ago when they did the first I guess it was the emergency tort reform, and we heard Sylvester Turner saying, lock the doors, get DPS to round everyone up. He was talking about everyone, but there were like 42 Republicans that weren't there at one time, and it would have been very easy to not have a quorum. So, it really does take, if they want to use that supermajority, then they have to have everyone involved for it.
Senator Kirk Watson was stunned when one of the Senate redistricting maps came out, and one of the districts, Travis County split into 4 districts. One looks like a bacon strip going down to the valley. Where do you see the Senate redistricting map going?
It came out of committee with only 1 no vote. The tradition is that, if the Senate can get their own map out, then the House will pass the Senate map out, and the Senate will pass the House map out. And, there's some thought that they open up the doors and look across the rotunda and make sure that, each chamber passes their bill. You know what's stunning to me, though? How little they care about congressional redistricting. Here, Texas is getting 4 new seats. The eyes of the nation, in many ways, in terms of redistricting, certainly the Republican Party is looking to Texas. The largest Republican delegation in the United States Congress, and these congressmen walk around here, big man on campus, but they are not big men on campus in the Texas legislature. They're going to pass the House map, the State House map, and the State Senate map, and they might get to congressional redistricting. I would say chances are it's probably a better chance that they will not get to congressional redistricting, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah. Got a few seconds left, and just your thoughts on the special session.
Well, if I were a betting man, I would say I would bet a little bit of money that we're going to have one. I wouldn't bet a lot of money. You do have this pressure at the end to get things done, and that pressure can be significant when people start realizing, oh my God, we're going to be here in the summer. Let's get this done. So I think there's a chance they'll get it done, but it's a lot to get done in a short period of time.
No question about it. Jay Root from the Texas Tribune, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
And Session 11 will be back right after this message.
Good morning.